Welcome back to another Pokemon Slab Sunday, where once a month we go through a ton of graded cards just so we can see what's going up and see what's going down. And we are going to do a little giveaway today. All you got to do is make sure you're subscribed. You got to hit that notification bell. You got to hit that like, and then you have to answer the question of the day. So what Pokemon do you guys like better, Zekrom or Reshiram? This is what we're giving away today, Sealed Ends Zekrom promo. And I do have to announce the winner from last week's giveaway, and it is at Brandon Blanchard. So to shoot me an email or hit me up on Instagram, I'll get those cards sent out to you. And we do have to give a quick thanks to our video sponsor real quick, and that is Collectr. This app is the best of the best when it comes to tracking your collection. No other app even compares. I've tried every single one of them. Make sure you guys download this and make sure you follow them on all their socials so that way you do not miss out on any of their insane giveaways, which we are going to be doing a crazy giveaway very, very soon. I'm not even joking. I'm talking like the craziest stuff that they give away. And they're always trying to improve too, cards, boxes, and features. So let us know down below if there's anything you want them to fix. So definitely check them out. I'll have all the links in the description. And of course, if you want to try out PSA for your first time, click my link, use the code BEARD25, you get $25 off. Click my link in the description, use the code BEARD10, you get 10% off your very first submission. But all right, let's get into it. So we're going to be checking a ton of cards going from newest to oldest like we always do. So we're on 130 point right here, just checking the newest sales that we got on eBay for Ascended Heroes PSA 10 cards. So we got the Pikachu here, $2,400, the Mega Gengar at $550, got the Team Rocket's Mewtwo at $1,525. Gold Charizard at $5,250, but that only had one bid, so that's a little sketchy. We got the Dragonite SIR at $2,300. Another Mega Gengar Attack Rare at $525, $630. Here we got the Charizard at $5,500 with 7 bids. That's a little better. And here's the Mega Gengar SIR at $3,675 and $3,550. We got a Hops Trevenant here at $91. We got the Pikachu in the Forest at $4,250. Got a Mega Dragonite SIR at $2,200. Mewtwo at $1,355. And Zoroark at $595. We got the Mega Attack Rare Dragonite at $360. Pikachu in the Forest at $3,700. The Metatcg at $155. And we got the Ends Zekrom Ascended Heroes Promo ETB. This is just a regular one, not the Pokemon Center one at all. And that sold for $400, which is crazy. Another Zard at $55. We got the Psyduck at $800. Just looking for a few different things here. The Mega Emboar at $385. All right, next we have the Gold Mega Charizard X from Phantasmal Flames. This got down to $1,697, and we had a ton of sales in the low 2000s. But now last sold, we got one at $3,200 and another one at $3,100. Next we have the Mega Charizard X, the actual SIR. This got down to $1,700. Now last sold $2,850, $2,700. Another one at $2,970. Next, we have the Mega Venusaur from Mega Evolution. I feel like this card is just so undervalued. This is at $233. Finally getting a little bit of love and going up. Now last sold $255, $280, and $262. This one has a pop of $5,800 in a 10 though, and $2,700 in a 9, so very easy to grade. Next, we have the Mega Lucario. This was at almost $1,300 to start off. Then it got down to about $350. Now last sold $449, $455, and $415 with a pop of $8,000 in a 10 and $3,600 in a 9. Next, we have the Mega Gardevoir, also from Mega Evolution. Pop of $7,200 in a 10, $3,500 in a 9. This is at $1,000 and now dropped down to about $360. Now last sold $385, $365, $400. Next, we have the Gold Mega Gardevoir from Mega Evolution. This was at $2,100 on release, and it's been kind of just being pretty steady, going from like $720 down to $650, back up to $700. Now last sold $680, and we got 9s, almost the exact same price as raw. And here's the Gold Mega Lucario doing the same thing. And this has a pop of $2,100 in a 10, $3,300 in a 9. But the Gold Gardevoir has a pop of $1,400 in a 10 and $2,800 in a 9. So they're actually, kind of tough to grade. But yeah, last sold for the Lucario is $900. Next, we have the Red Victini from White Flare. Just doing work. This was $773 in a 10 in 2025 and going up right now. We got a sale at $1,084. Another one here at $1,200. Says a pop of $2,077 in a 10 and $1,700 in a 9. So not very difficult to grade, but there's just not a ton of them out there. Next, we have the White Reshiram. This card is sick. I actually just picked it up when I was vending. It sold like 20 minutes later. but it is super clean and just pops. Mrs. Beard was obsessed with it. This is a pop of 4,800 in a 10, 2,700 in a 9. Got down to 725. Now last sold 1,060, 1,050, 1,100. Next, we have the actual Reshiram SIR. This was at 600, dropped down to 310. Now last sold 499, 490, and 443. This is a pop of 3,800 in a 10 and 2,700 in a 9. And here's the Red Victini from Black Bolt. Still bugs me that these are two different cards technically. Again, basically the same pop, 2,200 in a 10, 1,900 in a 9. And last sold $1,300, and before that, 900 and 1,200. Next, we have the Black Zekrom. Says a pop of 4,500 in a 10, 3,700 in a 9. Got down to 731, on its way back up right now. Last sold 1,449, 1,300, 1,350. It is expensive. And the Zekrom SIR was at 600. Dropped down to about 350. Now last sold 450, 499, and 490. With a pop of 5,500 in the 10, 2,900 in a 9. And we have the Seismitoad. Look at that pop. 872 in a 10, 3,100 in a 9. That is a very tough card to grade. Got down to 810. Now last sold 1,490, 1,450, 1,399. I just don't know who's spending that much money on this card in a 10. Next, we have Ethan's Ho-Oh from Destined Rivals with a pop of 6,600 in a 10, 3,100 in a 9. This is at 770, dropped down to 371. Now last sold 435, 470, and 465. And we have the Cynthia's Garchomp, was at 890. Got down to 475, just up a little bit, 485, 491, and 525. Says a pop of 7,700 in a 10, 3,400 in a 9. Next, we have the Destined Rivals Mewtwo. This has a pop of 11,200 in a 10. This was at about 1,775, got down to 1,000. Now last sold 1,375, 1,400, and 1,375. Next, we have the Eevee from Prismatic Evolutions. This card was a $110 raw card for the longest time. Now sells anywhere from like $150 to $200. This is a pop of 2,100 in a 10, 4,200 in a 9. Got down to $400 in a PSA 10. Now last sold 600, 629, and 625. And we have the Espeon from Prismatic Evolutions. Pretty similar pop, 2,600 in a 10, 5,300 in a 9. Some of the hardest to grade special illustration rares that we've actually got in the entire Scarlet and Violet era. This was at $700 in a 10, now last sold 1,000 and 1,500. It's quite the jump. And we have the Sylveon. Again, similar pop, 3,000 in a 10, 5,600 in a 9. Got down to about 1,000 on average. Says we had a low at 715, but now last sold 1,650 and 1,479. Next, we have the Umbreon from Prismatic. This was at $3,400. Now last sold 5,400. Wow. 52. Another one at 52. This is a pop of about 5,000 in a 10, 8,400 in a 9. Next, we have the Milotic from Surging Sparks. This is at 350. Got down to 230. Just up a little bit now. Last sold 285 and 265. This is a pop of 4,900 in a 10, 6,800 in a 9. And we have the Latias from Surging Sparks with a pop of 5,900 in a 10, 9,200 in a 9. This was at $720. Got down about 440. Now last sold 480 and 490. And we have the Surging Sparks Pikachu. This was at $1,200. Got down to 793. Now last sold 1,100, 1,026, 1,034. This is a pop of 8,600 in a 10 and almost 14,000 in a 9. Next, we have the Squirtle from Stellar. This is a pop of 13,000 in a 10 and 18,000 in a 9. This is at $250. Now last sold 375 and another one at 400 and 440. Next, we have the Bulbasaur from Stellar with a pop of 12,400 in a 10 and 16,700 in a 9. Again, this was around $200, but now last sold, $325, $300. We got a random one here at $600, but most of them are all right around $300. Next, we have the Chansey from Twilight Masquerade. Pretty easy to grade, 5,800 in a 10, 5,900 in a 9. Every single Gen 1 illustration rare is going up in price. It does not matter what set it's from. This is at $136. Now last sold $269, $235. And we got one up here at 221. Next, we have the Eevee from Twilight with a pop of 11,600 in a 10, 13,600 in a 9. Got down to $205. Now last sold $299, $285, and $300. Next, the Perrin. Basically the most expensive SIR trainer we have. This is a $90, raw card for the longest time, and now we got sales all the way up to almost about $160, $170 with a pop of 3,000 in a 10, 2,600 in a 9. And the 10's just kind of been slowly going up. Was at $200 when it was at 90, and it's still only, $250 to about $300 for a 10. Next, we have the Greninja from Twilight with a pop of 9,200 in a 10 and 9,200 in a 9. This was at 1,000, got down to 730. Now that sold $999, $955, and $1,000. And we are at Paldean Fates. We got the baby shiny Snorlax. These are just doing work. This is a pop of 1,100 in a 10, 1,200 in a 9. So is at $143 in a 10. Now last sold $250 and $275 before that. The raw prices are also going crazy. And here's the baby shiny Pikachu with a pop of 1,200 in a 10, 3,100 in a 9. So this card is actually pretty difficult to grade. Was at $290 for the longest time. Now last sold $650 and $610. Next, we have the Gardevoir from Paldean Fates with a pop of 8,900 in the 10, 9,300 in the 9. This is at $266. Now last sold $400 and $395. Next, we have the Charizard from Paldean Fates with a pop of about 15,000 in a 10 and 17,000 in a 9. Everybody always grades Charizard, so his pops are always just way higher than everybody else's, even though they're from the same set and same, rarity and all that. But the Charizard was at $563. Now last sold $975 and $950. And here is the Bubble Mew with a pop of 15,000 in a 10 and 23,000 in a 9. This got down to about $1,400. Now last sold $2,376, $2,500, $2,300, $2,225. And we have the Groudon from Paradox Rift. This is at $5,600 in a 10, $8,400 in a 9. And next we have the Groudon from Paradox. This has a pop of 5,600 in a 10, 8,400 in a 9. Was at $360. Now last sold $525 and $530 and kind of leveling out. And we have 151. We're just going to click on a couple of these and see what the prices are at. We will check the Psyduck's, and Psyduck's been getting a lot of hype lately. This was a $175 PSA 10 card. Kind of leveling out now at about $350. You got to remember, the 151 IRs are pretty tough to grade too. This is a pop of 5,000 in a 10 and 8,300 in a 9. And we'll definitely have to check the Pikachu, which is still such an amazing card. I love how Gengar is in there and Blastoise. It says a pop of 8,500 in a 10 and 15,000 in a 9. Was at $239. Now last sold $490. And what else do we got? We will check the Charmander illustration rare. This has a pop of 8,600 in a 10 and 18,000 in a 9. So this is coming down in price a little bit because this is one of the first cards that just went crazy. Got up to $760 and now last sold $670 and $592. But this was at $350 for the longest time. Next, we have, probably check that Zapdos. This has a pop of 13,000 in a 10 and 22,000 in a 9. This is at $298. Got up to about $600 and now last sold $500 and $499. Such a sick card though. And we will check the Venusaur, Blastoise, and Charizard. So we got the Venusaur here. 15,500 in a 10 and 25,900 in a 9. Was at 320, got up to 621. Now last sold 550, 549. And got the Blastoise. Gonna have, again, very similar pops. Got up to $854. Now last sold $709, $780. And for the Charizard, which is starting to bounce back raw already, because it got down to like $390 and now it's back up to like $420. This was at $1,000, got up to about $1,900, dropped down to about $1,500, and now last sold $1,800. So bouncing back in the 10 already in $1,741. All right, next we have another Gen 1 Pokemon. We got Ninetales from Obsidian Flames with a pop of 4,600 in a 10 and 11,000 in a 9. This is at $213. Now last sold $275, $314, and $275. And this card deserves it. It's just so beautiful. It's tough to grade. Still a pretty popular Gen 1 Pokemon, and it's probably one of the best arts we've gotten out of all the illustration rares. It's top tier. Next, we have the Charizard EX from Obsidian Flames with a pop of 12,000 in a 10, 27,000 in a 9, even 10,000 in a 8. Wow. This was at $469. Now last sold $749 and $721. Next, we have the T-Tar from Paldean Evolved with a pop of 1,600 in a 10, 4,600 in a 9. This card just goes up and down, just like all cards. You know, they're always going to go up and down. Was at 540, got up to 640, dropped down to 540, and now last sold 705 and 652. Next, we have the Raichu from Paldean Evolved with a pop of 1,500 in a 10, 4,300 in a 9. Dropped down to 360. Now last sold 598 and 565. Next, we have the Magikarp from Paldean Evolved. This is a pop of 3,800 in a 10, 12,000 in a 9. Was at 1,853. Just keeps going up. Now last sold 33.49. Wow. 32.50, 33.50, and 31.50. Next, we have the Pikachu with Gray Felt Hat with a pop of 47,000 in a 10 and 50,000 in a 9. This was at 13.75. Now last sold 2,900, 29.50. We got one here at $2,000, but the rest are at $3,000, 22.75, 29.69, and another one at $3K. Next, we have the Snorlax Pokemon Center promo, going up in price again. Got down to $932. That's why I always say you got to buy during these dips. This is a pop of 1,600 in a 10, 3,400 in a 9. Now last sold $1,875 and $1,750. So if you would have bought during that dip, you'd be up almost $1,000. Next, we have the Charmander Pokemon Center promo with a pop of 665 in a 10, 33,000 in a 9, even 2,600 in a 8. Very difficult to grade. This was at $2,250 in a 10. Now last sold $4,000, and before that was $3,750. Next, we have the Pikachu Pokemon Center promo from Paldean Evolved. Was at $888. And now last sold $2,000 and $1,900 before that, with a pop of $591 in a 10 and $1,800 in a 9. Next, we have the Team Rockets Waba Fit. Last sold for this one in a 10 is $1,700. It got down to $850. Doesn't have the pop on here for some reason. Next, we have the Eevee Pokemon Center promo. Again, no pop. I'm going to have to message them. This is at $347. Now last sold $705, $699, and $720. Next, we have the Greninja SIR promo. Got down to $271. Now last sold $432, $485. And we have the Pink Mew from the 151 UPC with a pop of 10,000 in a 10, 29,000 in a 9. Very difficult to grade, but there's a ton of them graded. It's got down to $400. Now last sold $697. And before that was $830. Next, we have the Kingdra SIR promo. Got down to about $200 in a 10. Now last sold $355. Next, we have the Charmander regular promo. Was at $333. Now last sold $639, $666. And this is a pop of 10,000 in a 10 and 21,000 in a 9. 8,500 in a 8. This is just for the regular promo. Next, we have the Mewtwo IR promo. This was at $345. Now we got sales at about $550 with a pop of 7,600 in a 10, 16,000 in a 9, 7,000 in a 8. And we have some Sword and Shield cards. We got the Mewtwo V-Star from Crown Zenith with a pop of 25,000 in a 10 and 15,000 in a 9. Got down to $335. Now last sold $519, $499, and $530. Next, we have the Giratina V-Star. Got down to $373. Now last sold $595, $600, and $580. This is a pop of 22,000 in a 10 and 14,000 in a 9. Next, we have the Darkrai V-Star. Got down to $138, and now last sold $250 with a pop of 10,000 in a 10 and 5,700 in a 9. Next, we have the Sleepy Mew with a pop of 7,200 in a 10 and 12,000 in a 9. Got down to $239. Now last sold $475, $480, and $450. Love that card. And we got the Lugia V from Silver Tempest with a pop of 24,000 in a 10, 15,000 in a 9. This has one of the highest pops for all these Sword and Shield alternate arts because there's those error tins. This got up to 1200 in a 10, dropped down to 835, now last sold 1200 and 1129. Next, we have the Giratina V. This is a pop of 9200 in a 10, 9200 in a 9. Was at about 2300, dropped down to 1860, now last sold 2550, 2850, and 2750. Next, we have some trainer gallery cards. We got the Sleepy Pikachu from Lost Origin with a pop of 3700 in a 10, 8300 in a 9. Dropped down to 259, now last sold 450 and 410. And we have the Pikachu V from Lost Origin, dropped down to 214, now last sold 385 and 393, with a pop of 7500 in a 10 and 5300 in a 9. And we got the Pikachu V Max with a pop of 10,000 in a 10 and 4300 in a 9. Dropped down to 182, now last sold 255 and 280. Next, we got the Mewtwo V from Pokemon Go. Never gets any love. Was at $329. Dropped down to $185. Now last sold $319, $314, $260, and $290. Now I've heard some people say they actually like this Mewtwo more than both Team Rocket Mewtwo's. And I could see why. I do wish this was at night though. I think this would look a lot sicker. And like kind of have him almost like glowing. And I think the card would be absolutely amazing. Next, we have the Machamp V. I still like it, during the day, but still, him at night is just way more epic. All right, we got the Machamp V with a pop of 5,200 in a 10, 3,500 in a 9. Was at 319, just up a little bit, 356 and 350. And the Charizard V from Brilliant Stars was at $600. Now that sold 1,046. Couple at 900. This has a pop of 15,000 in a 10 and 11,000 in a 9. Next, we have the Gengar VMAX from Fusion Strike. This is a pop of 13,000 in a 10 and 9,100 in a 9. Was at 1,569. Now last sold 2,390, 2,300. Another one here at 2,250. And we have the Umbreon VMAX from Evolving Skies with a pop of 20,000 in a 10, 5,900 in a 9. So very easy to grade, especially if you do compare it to the Prismatic Evolutions Umbreon. I mean, it's a night and day difference. This was at $3,000 in a 10. Now last sold 4,900, 4,200, 46. Another one at 41. So the Prismatic Umbreon is beating the Umbreon VMAX. Next, we have the Rayquaza VMAX from Evolving with a pop of 14,000 in a 10, 4,400 in a 9. It's got down to 1,400. Now last sold $1,999, $1,800, and $2,000. And the Dragonite V from Evolving, just slowly going up, was down to $830. Now last sold $950 and $1,000. This has a pop of 10K in a 10 and 7,400 in a 9. And the Umbreon V from Evolving got down to $712. Keeps going up and down, but now last sold $1050, $1,000, and $940. This is a pop of 8,000 in a 10, 7,400 in a 9. And we got the Blaziken VMAX. This is a pop of 6,400 in a 10 and 2,200 in a 9. And it got down to like $550. Now that sold $800, $675, and $896. And we got the Sleepy T-Tar with a pop of 6,600 in a 10, 5,200 in a 9. Got down to $549. Now last sold $660, $711. And another one here at $650. Next, we got a couple promos to end it off with. We got the Charizard V-Star from Sword and Shield, where he's fighting the Mewtwo. This has a pop of 9,100 in a 10, 29,000 in a 9, and 12,000 in a 8. This is why I like promos, because they're so difficult to grade. This got down to $565. Now last sold $955, $1,150, and another one here at $1,083. And we have the Charizard V. You got to think, it's a $1,000 PSA 10 card, and this card is literally $60 or $70 raw. And so I feel like these cards are still criminally underrated raw. Next, we have the Charizard V, my favorite of the three, with a pop of 7,500 in a 10, 22,000 in a 9. This got down to $360. Now last sold $432. We got another one here at $460. And last on the list, we have the Charizard V Max with a pop of 9,700 in a 10, 2,300 in a 9. This got down to about $340. Now last sold $525. And another one here at $560. But all right, that was this week's Pokemon Slab Sunday. If you guys like this content, please make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave a like and comment. If you guys want to support more, you guys can check out my Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube membership, all that. You guys know what to do. You guys are the absolute best. But all right, I want you guys to have a great day. If you guys could do me a massive favor and watch my last video that I did with Noah Lyles, that would really mean a ton. Click this video right here. Otherwise, we'll see you next time.